Welcome everybody again. My name is Auni and I'm a program manager at Live Baltimore. I'll first begin with just a couple of housekeeping notes. This is a webinar, so you cannot see us, even though you can see us, but we can't see you. But we do encourage your participation throughout the evening by asking questions in the Q&A function. So feel free to add those as they come up, but we'll probably wait until the end to do the questions. We will have brief remarks from our presenters and then we'll do the Q&A, but we will wrap up within the hour. And I believe that is it. Oh, and the session is being recorded. So you will get the link to the recording in the next couple of days. And we welcome you, to share that with other folks that you might think would be interested. So just a little bit about Live Baltimore. If you're not familiar, we're a nonprofit organization. We attract and retain city residents. We offer homeownership events in person and online. We have guides for all of our neighborhoods. We also host civic pride events, such as our birthday bash. And we have been supporting families with children since 2015. We help with resources on space, support, and schools. So we invite you to connect with us on our Facebook page or through our monthly newsletter. And I also wanted to share some slides of our website. If you haven't been on there, this map, I think, is a really helpful visual for folks to get a sense of where different schools are. Perhaps you've heard the name or you've read about them, but you really aren't sure where they are. And I think especially as you're thinking about different charter options, that can be helpful to see them visually and think about your commute or where you've got family or, visualize it on a map. So we can share the link in the chat, but it's livebaltimore.com is our website and /schools is this page. And I also wanted to show our school planning timeline. This is part of our school options guide. So whether your kid is going into pre-K or looking at high schools, this is hopefully a helpful tool for you to think about what should be happening at different times of the year. All right. I'm going to just pause for a moment to make sure the interpretation has a chance to catch up. All right. So tonight's presenters, I am delighted that we are joined by three excellent presenters. So Kendra Banks is the manager in the Office of New Initiatives at Baltimore City Public Schools, where she manages the opening of new charter and operator-led schools and supports accountability and compliance for school operators. She also leads special projects that enhance the student experience, advance school choice, and innovative school options across the district. And then we have Jean Lindenfelser, the executive director of Bluebird Education Network, which is the nonprofit operator of Clay Hill Public Charter School and Patterson Park Public Charter School. She is a city resident and the mom of two girls who attend Patterson Park Public Charter. And then we have Traci Johnson Mathena, the principal and executive director of Creative City Public Charter School. She's a Park Heights native who's been in education for more than 30 years, the last 10 of which have been at Creative City. So without further ado, I will stop sharing and turn things over to Kendra.
All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for having me. I am going to be presenting this evening on operator-led and charter lottery process, and so providing a guidance for families to familiarize you with our process and what it's all about. So the objectives of the presentation is to assist and support understanding about operator-led and charter schools and the difference, and giving you the ability to identify different ways to apply for an operator-run or a charter school, understanding how and when to apply for a charter school lottery process, recognizing the different lottery preferences categories and how the wait list works, and locating where to find accurate and up-to-date information about each of the operator runs enrollment process. Oh, no. So sorry. What is going on today? This has been happening to me all day. I promise you I know how to use technology. I promise you.
It always works until you need it to work, right?
Exactly. Oh, wow. Everything else is popping up. Okay, back in business. Okay, so operator, oh, excuse me. My gosh, you won't believe it. Okay. So our operator-led schools are schools that are operated by independent organizations, and they are under a contract that is aligned with Baltimore City Public Schools and public city schools policies. These schools are allow flexibility and autonomy around their staffing and their programming, as well as their operations, and they are also held to a high standard for their academic performance, equity, and their operational effectiveness. They are governed by Maryland charter law. And city schools, we have three types. We have charter schools, contract schools, and transformation schools. Tell you a little bit about our charter schools. We have two types. One is our wholly new charters, and then we have our conversion, also known as our neighborhood charters. Our wholly new charters are started by organizations from the beginning, and they're created and approved by our board approval process. Our neighborhood conversion charters also go through a board approval process. However, they are when organizations obtain a or acquire an existing traditional school and they convert it into a charter school. And they are also governed by Maryland Public Charter Law. Neighborhood charters, also known as conversion schools, they continue to serve the neighborhood in which they are located. So some of the key features are that they are open to all Baltimore City Public School students or Baltimore City students. They're tuition free. They're governed by nonprofit boards and organizations, and they have to follow applicable health, safety, and civil rights laws. And they can apply for a waiver from specific district policies. And so right now, under our portfolio, we have 32 charter schools. I spoke about Maryland charter law, and the law basically determines that all charters have to hold a lottery process. Key points of a lottery process is that it is open to all city school students. They're free and open to any student that lives in the Baltimore City area. Lotteries are required, so if more students apply than seats are available, the school must hold a random lottery to determine admission. There is no screening or testing, and so schools cannot select students based on academic ability or behavior or background. And sometimes there are schools that propose to our board that they have certain preferences. And so some of those preferences are siblings of current students, students who live within a geographic attendance area up to 35%, and children of staff. And those are just a few. And the lottery also allows for transparency. So the lottery procedure must be clearly documented, monitored, and we also review the processes when lotteries take place amongst all of the charter schools. So here is a brief timeline of the lottery process. So February 2nd of 2026, which is right around the corner, can you believe it? The deadline for accepting applications is February 2nd. Lotteries will be held at all of the schools between February 9th and February 13th. Parents should be notified by February 27th. And if there happens to be inclement weather, because during that time we know that we are in the winter months, lotteries will be held between the 16th and the 20th, and the notification date then moves back to March 6th. And by April 10th, April 10th, the deadline is set for families to confirm or decline acceptance. So the process of applying to charter and operator-led schools, I'm going to start with the neighborhood charter schools. Students who live in the neighborhood zone do not have to apply. They can enroll the same way that they would at any traditional school. And students who live outside the zone do have to apply through the lottery process unless they have the available seats. So they would have to fill out an application, but more than likely would be accepted. The district neighborhood,
Kendra,
I'm
can
sorry.
you just slow down a little bit for our interpretation purposes?
Okay, no
Thank
problem.
you.
So our district neighborhood charter schools are the Bel Air Edison School, City Springs Elementary Middle School, Frederick Elementary School, Furman L. Templeton Preparatory Academy, Govins Elementary School, Hampstead Hill Academy, Wolf Street Academy, Pimlico Elementary Middle School, and Dream Academy, which will be opening the school year of 26-27. So now we'll move to the actual lottery process for charter and operator-led schools. So any student who wishes to attend a citywide charter school must apply via the lottery process. So the schools that are listed here, because I don't want to take up too much time naming them, but all the schools that participate in the lottery process are listed. I don't know if I have time to run through them because I want people to be clear on which schools participate in the lottery process. Maybe I can well, I can't do it quickly because we are translating. So I will run through them. Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys, Baltimore International Academy East and West, Baltimore Leadership School for Young Women, Baltimore Montessori Public Charter School, City Neighbors Charter School, City Neighbors Hamilton, City Neighbors High School, Clay Hill Public Charter School, Coppin Academy, Creative City Public Charter School, the Crossroads School, Elma A. Henderson, the Johns Hopkins Partnership School, Empowerment Academy, the Green School of Baltimore, Green Street Academy, Kip Harmony Academy, Lily Mae Carroll Jackson School, Midtown Academy, New Song Academy, Patterson Park Public Charter School, Tunbridge Public Charter School, and Dream Academy starting school year 26-27. All schools should make an enrollment application available. Families that are interested in seats must submit the application, and the application can be found on the school's website or at the school and should be available in English and Spanish. So the lottery process consists of different steps. So charter and contract school lottery requirements, all charter, as stated earlier, all charter and contract schools must publicize the location, date, and time of their lotteries so that the information there's transparency in the offering of the information. All schools share the same application deadline, which was stated earlier, February 2nd. Lotteries must be held publicly and results must be shared publicly. Lotteries may be conducted in person or virtually, so all of that information should be listed on the school's website. And families are not required to attend for their child's application to be included or for your child to be placed on the wait list. How does the lottery work? So each grade level will have its own lottery when there are more applications than available seats. So the first step, as mentioned before, are the preference categories. So applications from students with approved preferences, such as siblings, those living in a geographical area zone, are selected first in random order. Step 2 is the general lottery. After all preference categories are processed, the remaining applications are selected randomly until all seats are filled. And step 3 is the waitlist portion. Once all seats are filled, additional applicants are placed on the wait list in the order in which they are drawn. And just want to share one note, and that's Baltimore International Academy schools. They um, they specialize in language immersion, and so they conduct separate lotteries for each of the language programs that are offered, as opposed to the grade. So the categories under the preferences. So as I shared a couple in the last few slides. However, the preference categories include siblings of currently enrolled students, children of original founders of the schools, children of school staff or district staff who are Baltimore City residents. And some schools also have board-approved enrollment preferences for students who have limited English proficiency, are academically disadvantaged, have any disabilities, and are classified as homeless as defined by the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. So our geographic attendance area preference consists of board-approved enrollment. It's a board-approved enrollment preference for students who live in the geographic attendance area of a specific school. It is defined by the neighborhood area, and also the median income must be equal to or less than the citywide median income. So schools with GAA preferences include New Song Academy, Sandtown Winchester, Baltimore Montessori, Creative City, Midtown, and Midtown Academy. And here we have listed the percentage of the preference, the preference percentage, and also the areas in which it covers. The next, okay. The waitlist procedure, even if a school doesn't plan to accept students in certain grades, they still must collect applications and create a waitlist. The waitlist applications are collected during the enrollment period, and they are ranked by the lottery results. As seats become available, they will pull students from the waitlist, and applications received after the enrollment period will be added to the bottom of the waitlist. Pre-K enrollment for neighborhood charters follow the same process as traditional schools. And for citywide charter schools, they must conduct a lottery for their pre-K seats, and it is determined in order in which the eligibility is checked. So although it's a blind lottery under COMAR regulations, schools must first serve the priority one students. So after the lottery is drawn, they verify the eligibility in the order of the lottery. And if a student is not priority one eligible, they lose their seat. And then they go to the wait list and pull the next student that is drawn. And if they meet the eligibility requirements, then they will be assigned to that seat. Student choice under applying to an operator-led school. Some schools operate using the district school choice process. And so the schools that are included in that are Connections, a community-based art school, and the Reach Partnership School. And if you would like more details about the school choice program or process, you can go to the district's website under our school choice page. Some schools offer a special application process, and those two schools are Bard Early College High School, Baltimore, and the Baltimore Design School. So under BARD, there's an interview process, a seminar, and a writing sample that is required. You also have to fill out the student choice application, and you can start the process by registering for an open house. For the Baltimore Design School, middle school students are required to submit an application and an interest survey, and high school students apply directly and must provide a portfolio for review. And the deadlines for the middle school applications, as stated earlier, is February 2nd, and high school applications are accepted on a rolling basis. Contract schools such as Elma A. Henderson, a Johns Hopkins partnership, follow the lottery process. However, they have 5 priorities that have been board approved. So priority 1 includes students who live in East Baltimore, community enrollment zone, or who were relocated from that zone. Priority 2 includes siblings of current students. Priority 3, children of families who work in the enrollment zone. And priority 4, students who live within the enrollment zone of Dr. Bernard Harris Senior Elementary, Collington Square Elementary Middle, and Tench Tillman Elementary Middle. And priority 5, all other Baltimore City residents. And that is it for our lottery process. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and you can also reach out to me at the information listed on the slide, krbanks@bcps.k12.md.us.
Thank you so much, Kendra. That was a lot of info, but we really appreciate you you going over all of those details, and I'm sure people will be referring back to that later. All right, wonderful. So Jane, you are up next.
So, as Auni said at the beginning, my name is Jane Lindenfelser, and I work as the Executive Director of Bluebird Education Network, which operates 2 charter schools in Baltimore City, Patterson Park Public Charter School and Clay Hill Public Charter School. I'm also a parent of a 5th grader and a 2nd grader at one of our schools and a founder of the other school. So these are a few pictures of our 2 schools. Clay Hill is, until this year, the newest charter school in the district. We are celebrating 5 years at Clay Hill. And Patterson Park is actually one of the oldest charter schools in the district. We are celebrating 20 years at Patterson Park this year. Both of our schools operate under a vision and mission. Our vision is lifelong learners, healthy families, and strong neighborhoods. And our mission is to be a place where children thrive with families, caregivers, staff, and neighbors engaged in a practice of whole child education. By teaching and learning from one another, we embrace unique identities and cultivate an atmosphere of love. It's a big statement, but every word was selected with a lot of meaning. So in our schools, we think a lot about what it takes, not just for children as students, but for children as whole people to thrive. And so when we talk about whole child education, for us, that's 4 pillars: academic excellence, wellness, identity, and love. But some of those words don't mean a whole lot to kids. So we use kid-friendly language through our community affirmations that they say every day. I'm a learner, I'm confident and strong, I'm uniquely me, and I am loved. And both of our schools operate as community schools, and that's kind of the foundation you see here at the bottom, meaning that we approach our work as, it's absolutely about academics and what happens with kids in the classroom, but it's also more than that. It's about college and career. It's about family engagement. It's about providing health and social supports, whatever those wraparound services are that, again, allow kids to thrive when they're in the classroom. So a little bit more about Clay Hill. Clay Hill is a citywide public charter school. We started as just kindergarten through 3rd grade with 180 students. This year we have just over 400 students in kindergarten through 7th grade. And next year we will be all the way up to 8th grade in 2026. So next year we'll serve kindergarten students through 8th grade students. And we are Clay Hill is located in the Bayview neighborhood, in the former Our Lady of Fatima building. So it's kind of tucked behind the Bayview Hospital. Patterson Park Public Charter School, also a citywide public charter school. Patterson has grades pre-K through 8th grade, and this year they have about 740 students. So they're at full scale and a little bit larger than Clay Hill. Patterson is located, as you can tell by the name, in the Patterson Park neighborhood. And this is just a little information about what our lottery statistics looked like last year. I will say every year is different. So when parents are thinking about enrolling or find themselves on the wait list, I always encourage them to reach out and ask this question of, how many applications, how far did you go on the wait list in the previous year? Because I prefer to make decisions based in data, and I find that data to be helpful. So as Kendra mentioned, we do have a lottery. Anybody in Baltimore City is able to apply to either one of our schools. You do have to submit applications separately, and our lottery deadline is consistent with Baltimore City's deadline. We do have enrollment preferences at both schools for founders, staff, and siblings of current students. Clay Hill also has some extra preferences for children who are English language learners and children from low-income households. At Clay Hill, there are 3 kindergarten cohorts or 3 kindergarten homerooms. And so we have 72 kindergarten seats. And last year we had around 100 applications. We also have around 0 to 10 open seats in grades 1 through next year it will be 8th grade. And last year we received about 10 to 20 applications for each of those grades. At Patterson, as Kendra mentioned, our pre-K seats follow the district guidelines for enrollment. As she described, we have 2 classes of pre-K for a total of 40 seats. And last year we received 150 applications at Patterson. We also have 56 additional kindergarten seats. And again, our applications were around 150 for those seats as well. And in grades 1 through 8, we had about 0 to 10 seats, depending on the grade, and received about 35 to 50 applications. I believe that is, oh, I'm sorry, Abdel. I did have this slide in Spanish as well. The other thing I will say is I think it's sometimes helpful to know, when do you typically see movement on your wait list? So that at the time when we pull the lottery, we do invite, probably more kindergarten seats than we have seats available, just because we know that's a grade band where families are looking at a lot of different options. And then in grades 1 through 8, typically most of those applications go on the wait list. That doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get a seat in those grades. It's just that those seats are dependent on other children transferring. Maybe mom and dad got a job in a different county, or are making different life moves. And that's when we know we have an open seat. So we don't always know. Sometimes we know those things at the time of the lottery, but oftentimes we don't know those things until spring or maybe even into the summer. And so we see the most movement on our wait list for grades 1 through 8. We see the most movement really in June and August. And so that's typically when we'll start to invite off of the wait list. In kindergarten, we actually see some movement after that decision deadline that Kendra talked about in April. So you'll start to see movement on our wait list around that time. And we'll continue to invite students typically again until August, because sometimes people may have confirmed a seat and then life has brought them someplace else. I think that those were all the big pieces I kind of wanted to hit. Both of our applications will be going live next week, and you can find them on each of the schools' websites. We also have hard copy applications in both schools' main offices, and our websites as of next week will have our updated information about visiting days and open houses if you would actually like to see the schools in action or to visit classrooms and meet teachers. I'm happy to answer any questions during the Q&A as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, I see we've got a couple more questions trickling in. So again, for folks in the audience, feel free to ask a question now, but we'll probably wait until the end to do those.
Oh, I remember one thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
Sorry. Our school uses a system called lotteries to collect online applications. Again, you can still submit them hard copy at the school. But we started using the system called lotteries a couple of years ago because it was much more effective at getting communication out to families much quicker. And so when we conduct the lottery, families are notified immediately via phone and text message of their status in the lottery. And then as they move up the wait list, they get a notification at every 5 spots. And then once they're in the within 1 through 5 on the wait list, they get a notification at each spot. So with that said, making sure that your email address is up to date is really important because that whole system works based off of parents' emails.
Excellent point. Great. All right, thank you so much. All right, and our third presenter for this evening, Principal Mathena from Creative City. Take it away.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Traci Mathena. I'm the principal and executive director of Creative City Public Charter School. And Jane and I totally should have talked before this because I'm going to talk to you a little bit about lotteries, my friends. So you're going to get all the good stuff. You're going to get all the good stuff. So let me see if I can share and perhaps like Kendra not have any issues with my tech. We'll see. I also will ask you to please forgive me if I cough. I am a little under the weather, but I'm going to do my best to make sure you guys have all the information that you need. So first of all, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, so already we're in the right spot. So hold on. Get rid of my meeting controls. All right, so basically I'm going to walk you through the Creative City Lottery process that we see it as. First of all, everything that Kendra said is what we adhere to. And then here comes the next part. So phase 1, you discover us because we are a school that has been on the scene since 2013 in Park Heights. That's where I grew up. And a lot of people like to say, you guys are in the cut. It's like they don't know we were there, but we've been there for now going on 12 years. So what you will do first is you will discover what school, and in this case, Creative City, that you might be interested in applying to. The next phase is you get to know us. This is through info sessions, open houses, community events. We are Baltimore's first Baltimore Peace Movement School when it was first Baltimore Ceasefire. Back in 2018, one of the founders, Erica Bridgeford, came through our school and said that we live the same mission that Baltimore Peace Movement does. And she said we need to have schools and organizations like that. So she named Creative City as its first Baltimore Peace Movement, at that time, Baltimore Ceasefire School. And we have been living a mission of nonviolent conflict resolution, making sure that we were like Clay Hill and Patterson Park, adhering to the whole child when it comes to our instruction. But we are also an arts integrated, play-based, place-based, and project-based school, elementary K-5. So you'll see some of those components here in getting to know us. We are also a diverse and cooperative community founded by parents back in 2013, and still a board that has at least 51% of its board membership being parents. We are founded and grounded in making sure that we are a cooperative community to try to meet students where they are to get them where they need to be. And that's one of the things that's a tenet of our school when you will get to know us. The next thing is you'll decide that you love us, because that's kind of the way that it goes. You say, I've gotten to know the school, I love you, and now I'm with Creative City and I would like to apply. So then you apply to the school. What you need to do is go to creativecityschool.org. There's that lovely little enrollment information icon that you'll just keep seeing on every single page because we would like you to enroll. But you'll also get an opportunity to see exactly who we are. You can also check us out on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, or any of those other things that you can see what we're doing in the moment. And so you decide you love us, you want to apply. And so you click on enrollment, and this is where you get. First of all, you get to information about the requirements about lottery and how you can how that process works. And it also gives you information about lotteries, which is that same platform that Jane was talking about. So it also tells you of all the documents that you still have to gather in order to do your enrollment, and it lists it there for you. And it tells you about that geographic preference that Kendra was talking about. We have a geographic preference to have children who live in Park Heights come to the school, because we believe that you should never have to walk through walk past a school that you can't actually attend. So we want to make sure that we offer seats to people who live right there in our village. So once you click on the application, this is the lottery system. You have to register an account. And again, it really actually walks you through it. So I'm not going to talk through all of this, but you will get an opportunity to see how it actually walks you through to register an account, to make sure that you can see not only your information, but whatever you're filling in for your children. It also asks you to choose one of the lotteries. So if you only have a kindergarten, that's what you're trying to go into. That's what you have applied for. But you can see that it has it for every grade level right there. It also makes sure that you see that if there's a preference that we were just talking about, that you can select that too. If you already have an enrolled sibling, you can click that. If you are a Park Heights resident, you can do that. If you're a staff or a board member, you can click those. So those are already there, and it puts it into the system so that your application will be monitored in that way. And so they also say stuff like, hey, do you have more than one child? So that it kind of helps you with that, because that other piece is the sibling preference. If one of your kids gets in and the other one gets on the wait list, it sort of bumps you up. So that's just something to consider, because like all the other charter schools, we might have more seats in one grade than we have in another. So one of your children may get in immediately because we have no wait list, but the other one might end up being waitlisted because we did. But the sibling preference would then kind of reshuffle things to help move that along, so you're not waiting to see if another child gets into the school. Also, I think one of the cool things is to actually be able to view different applicant lists, so that you can see exactly where your kid is in the list. And you will actually be able to keep track, not only through what they're sending you, but you could also go in and look if you happen to be thinking about, oh, I'd like to see if anything has moved, but you haven't gotten a notification. You should actually be able to get a notification, though. It's been pretty good with that. It has all of the other features that most apps have, where if you forget your password or something like that, you should be able to recover it. And then, it makes sure that you have what you need to be logged into and keep track of your account. So then, once you've gone through all of this and you get through your enrollment form, if you're selected in the lottery and confirm your attendance, your child's going to be taken out of that one and put into something that we have that's called enrollees. And that helps the whole enrollment process, because just because you got your seat doesn't mean you don't have to finish up with all of the actual enrollment process. And that's really key, because there's immunization, there is, the birth certificates, there's all that other good stuff that absolutely must be in by certain deadlines once you've confirmed your seat and said that you wanted to come to Baltimore City. And then there's phase 4. You're in. Welcome to Creative City. So check us out a little bit here.
We are. Welcome to Creative City. Welcome to Creative City. Welcome to Creative City.
This was our take a peek at the seat this year, and everybody was apparently so happy to see each other, although they'd seen each other not 2 months prior. It's like they've never seen each other again.
to Creative City. I'm so excited to be back. I know you guys are too. I mean, what's there not to be excited about? Look around the room. We got all the drums. I got everything set up. You really want to be here because this is the place where you need to be. So welcome back. We're gonna have a great year, everyone. Peace.
Ready, set, glow, and grow. Welcome to Creative City. We are all excited to be back. We look forward to having a great school year.
And so I'd be very happy to answer any questions during the Q&A. Anything for the good of the group, because it's a lot of things to put together in this puzzle, and we'd be glad to answer any questions for you. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right, so I do see we have about 5 questions at the moment, and I believe we have 3 that might be best suited for Kendra. So one is, could we just go over the lottery dates one more time? So when does the lottery open? When's the application deadline? When's the lottery period? And when should folks expect to hear from the schools?
Okay, so as far as submitting applications, as soon as they are up and available on the school's websites, you should start filling out your application as soon as possible. Lotteries start on February 16th. Well, first, your application has to be in by February 2nd, and lotteries will be held between February 16th and February 20th. And if there is a need for inclement weather date, then it would be the following week.
Great. And notifications are soon after that.
Notifications should be all out by February 27th.
Great. All right. See, we're getting a couple more in here. All right. What about applying for multiple schools? Is that encouraged, allowed?
It's allowed. It's definitely allowed.
And
Charters
is there
are
a limit?
citywide, so they're citywide, so you can apply to many as you would like.
Okay, great, great. What about someone who changes their address during the application process? Let me go back to the actual question. What is the process if your address changes after you start the process? When should you update it, or how does that affect it?
I would contact the school as soon as possible to let them know that your address has changed so that they'll be aware of all of your personal information. In case they have to send something or the information goes into the system, we want to have the most updated information possible.
Great. Okay. And then there's a couple of questions about pre-K. So let's see, are the charter school pre-K lottery dates the same as the non-charter public school pre-K lottery dates?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's see. And what about, do you have to enter the lottery every year for every grade, or once you're in, are you in?
Once you're in, you are in. You don't have to reapply every year.
Great.
Unless you have another child to.
So it's by kid, not by academic year.
Correct.
All right. And then I think those were all the sort of like enrollment type questions. But here is one that I'm going to read aloud. What if you're applying for kindergarten? You're applying at kindergarten level or first grade as opposed to pre-K. How does that affect your place in the lottery process? So I think maybe that could be anyone answering that of, I think the likelihood of getting in at pre-K versus the likelihood of getting in at kindergarten versus first grade or above. And I think Jane would be the only one that I guess could answer that, because it's just Patterson Park that has pre-K, not Clay Hill, right?
Correct. Yeah, I would say pre-K is definitely for Patterson is where we get the most applications for the fewest number of seats. I wouldn't say that the grade bands necessarily affect your place in the lottery per se, because it's random, right? So you submit your application and then you draw the lottery, and that determines your place in the lottery. But the grade bands definitely probably determine the seats that are available. So most schools, I think, have the most seats available at kindergarten, or if they have pre-K, they've got those seats that are wide open because those are typically the kiddos who are just starting school. Whereas after kindergarten or after kindergarten, really, those kids are then matriculating into first, second, so on and so forth. And so the seats available are really dependent on children transferring. And I would imagine that different schools maybe see different rates of attrition in that K-1. I mean, obviously, we want to work with children and their families for the entirety of their educational career. So we hope that you join our school community and we get to know you and we get to be a part of a community for years to come. But we know that that's not always how life works out. And so we do sometimes see first grade, I would say, is probably the next place where we see a little bit more transition and have a few more open seats than maybe in like second, third, fourth, fifth, so on and so forth.
Great. All right, and another question for both of you school-based folks. Are there open houses held after the lottery? So when folks know if they got a spot or if they're on the wait list, do you have events and open houses at that point?
We do. I think that's probably a general thing. I think most schools do continue to hold those. I can tell you that at Creative City, we also, all of our events that we hold are not only our Baltimore ceasefire events, but we have a back to school barbecue. We have something called We Create. We have different types of things that are open to the public. So it's not just the open houses. It's actually events that we hold for the entire community. And anybody can come, whether your child comes to our school or not, you're invited. And that's a good opportunity to just kind of get to know who we are without even making any kind of commitment. You just come and take a look and, see how we are. Trust me, there is no dog and pony show at this school. You come, you will see us as we are. And Jade probably is thinking the same thing about her school. And that those things are also offered.
Yeah.
Great.
I would agree. And I think the only thing I would maybe add to that is if folks can't make those events, another thing we'll typically do, because we do a visiting day typically in March to families who've been invited through the lottery, but that may not work for everybody's schedule. And so if you just email our team, we'll set up like a one-off and you can come do a tour and pop into some classrooms and just see what's going on.
Ditto.
Great. Good. All right, we've got one other pre-K question. For the pre-K lottery, they're allowed to enter 5 choices. Actually, I think that did change to 3 choices in the last year. I'm not sure what it'll be next year. But do charter schools count against those number of spots? So Kendra, I don't know, is that something that you can answer?
That is something that I can ask our enrollment department about. Because I do not want to misinform, so I can check in with early learning and the enrollment department to get that information.
Great. I was going to ask on the getting to know the schools part, what other ways do you encourage families to get to know their options to do research? Just in general, I think community events, I've written that down, shadow days, visiting days, info sessions. Is there anything else like, there's some families that really like data, they want to see numbers. Is there a place that you send them, or do you have them go to your website, or where else can they do research on your schools?
I couldn't find my unmute button. So websites will help, but also honestly, the data is out there. You can look at the Maryland report cards. You can look at things like that. I would definitely caution you against just looking at that, because one, the data is a year old. So it's from the previous year, and there could be actually more updated data for us that we could actually give you from our, like, what's happening right in front of our eyes right that moment, and be able to provide data for you. But there's also, at least on our website, and I think on many other websites, we have ambassadors. We have parents from our board of directors. We have our PTO is called our School Village Association, so our SVA. You can, talk shop with those folks and kind of get that information as well. But the public data is actually out there. But I would again say you might want to also talk to the school. We have no problem talking about any of the places where we need to improve and the efforts that we're taking to do that. So it's, I think, worth a conversation that even if you see some data that you're questioning, you're like, oh, I like what the school is saying about itself, but there's this and I have questions, just kind of ask us. We honestly will talk to you about where our shortcomings might be, where our strengths lie, and the things that we're doing to mitigate any kind of issues. So that would be my answer, at least for that.
Great. Jane, anything to add on that front?
I think that's all great, Traci. I would completely agree with speaking with other parents. The only other thing I can think of is to maybe ask about curriculum as well. Like what curriculum are schools using and how are they finding that that working with kids? And so I would, poke around on the curriculum approach too.
Mm-hmm. And are there any other questions you would recommend parents ask when they're like visiting a school or talking to other parents? Anything else that they might not think about, especially, kindergarten or pre-K, if they haven't been in elementary school before, sometimes they don't know what to ask.
Yeah, I think the other thing that comes up a lot during visiting days that is really important are things like aftercare, start time and end times. Attendance policy is consistent across the district, but uniforms too is
We
like
get a lot of questions about recess. And I'm not, like, do you have recess? What's your recess policy? Do you take it away? What's your homework policy? We get a lot of, because philosophically, different schools have different ideas around some of those things. And if those things might be important to you, you might want to dig a little deeper and ask questions about the philosophy that your school of choice might have around those things as well.
Yeah, great point. All right, I see one other question. It says, can you tell me the lottery for kindergarten and stipulation? So I am not entirely sure what that question is about, but I guess for kindergarten and for all the grades, basically it's the same process, same application, you go to the same place, same deadlines, and then the big difference is the number of seats, I guess, available.
And just a big, for me, being a school that doesn't have a pre-K yet, we're working on it, family, we're working on it. But the September 1st has to be 5 by September 1st is huge. We had to turn away literally 15 different families this year because their children didn't turn 5 by September 1st. And these people all wanted to come to the school. But we can't enroll because we don't have a pre-K. I mean, they could obviously enroll their child in a Head Start or something like that. But if you are thinking that my child is not going to be 5 by September 1st, but they are so advanced and they need to be considered, you need to talk to the district and get them tested and do it now because they don't do it in the summer. There's a cutoff, and I cannot remember the date, but even no matter how advanced you think your child is, that test does not, for some reason, get given in the summer before that September 1st. I think it cuts off sometime in the spring. So if you really do think your child is that advanced, you might want to start having that conversation to see if they can have, Kendra, what is it called? It's like early admission or something like that. But that's a big thing when you consider kindergarten, because otherwise it's the kindergarten lottery like everybody else. But there's so many people that have a 4-year-old who has a late birthday. And speaking from a child who's now 30, not a kid anymore, but he had September 11th birthday, he wouldn't have made it. he would have missed it by, a couple days. So I think that's just something to keep in mind.
And I'm
Excellent.
pretty sure I was actually going to say the exact same thing, Tracy. Every year it is like so heartbreaking. You're like, and they can't. But I think there's only a specific window. It's like if your kiddo's birthday is between September 1 and October 15th, then they can apply for early admissions. But if they're October 16th or beyond, they're not even eligible for early admissions for that early admissions testing
And
process.
that's real important to know. So talk to, I guess it's enrollment choice and transfer
Yes,
or somebody
enrollment,
to
yes.
get that detail just in case.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I think we have one more question and then we are going to wrap up. So IEPs, are they transferable and continued in charter schools?
Yes.
Yes. Great.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're done with questions. So we really appreciate everybody's time tonight, both our audience and our panelists. We really appreciate your questions. And I know there's a lot of excitement about the upcoming charter lottery and enrollment season. So if you have other questions that didn't get answered tonight, we can share LiveBaltimore's email address in the chat, schools@livebaltimore.com. And, if it's a question for the panelist or about something else, we're happy to answer that. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.